So excited. We started the stream
Men can be fickle, but birds I always trust.
Trouble with primitives in any art form, painting, poetry, or music.
Primitives, right, Ryan?
I need it all, yeah.
Trip over the streets. Anyone.
Oh, yeah.
As a primitive when they might.
How's that? Does that work?
Quite simply
that works for me.
Untalented.
Oh,
or just lazy.
Like a creaky door.
Or all.
I'm money-minded.
And welcome to Tavern Talk, a normally full spoiler episode based on the Wheel of Time by Robert. My name is Ryan, and joining me as always is Dan. That's
Hello.
Welcome, everybody. Let me turn this down. Woo, we're rocking. welcome to Tavern Talk. We are going to continue our deep dives into the Wheel of Time Season 2. And this time we are doing episode 6. That's right. And we have a guest. But yeah, Gus and Allie are not going to be able to join us this week, which is a bummer. Hopefully they'll come next week. But we're going to carry on. We got Jansen, who is a Hollywood actor, and he's going to give us his insights into what it takes to make a show like this. So then, how
not only is he a Hollywood actor, he's a very good friend, and he's a fanatical encyclopedic knowledge machine of the Wheel of Time.
It's disgusting.
Are you like the human AI?
Hi, Razor Switch.
Will
Nice
you
to see
talk like this? Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the heart. Thank you for
Yeah. Sorry. Try again. I did not get that. Did you want
Matt
sushi?
Stagger? Thank you for the donation.
What?
Matt Stagger?
Yeah. Oh my god!
Matt Stagger, you are incredible. We cannot. I don't have words, and I have access to every word. You can tell that I am not in my normal location. I am out and about in the world, guys. Welcome.
Are you far striding right now?
I'm far striding. Yeah. I'm doing all
You are
this stuff.
far striding right now. Okay.
Yeah. But I still squeeze in the episode amongst my travels. And I gotta say, like the Shanson stuff kind of reminded me of working with Ryan a little bit. I was feeling like that PTSD.
What? What? How dare you? What? Hey, that's bullshit. Why don't you come say that to my face? How dare you?
Well, you know what, Ryan? All right? You know what? I will. I'm coming right now. Oh, I just tripped. Ow! I literally tripped. Okay. Here.
Dude,
I'm hurtling. I'm hurtling this thing. Whoa! God damn you! Hey.
Yeah! All right. Wait, what just happened here?
I think you got assaulted.
Yeah. Brother Dan puts the ass in assault.
Here I am. Where is it?
No, I turned you off.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Here we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you liked our little skit? We are here in person.
And scene.
Oh,
hi,
well
Ryan.
done.
That was a really good job.
Yay! Round of applause.
I signed up for like a fake battle, and you went real. All right. Well, anyways, let's bring in our special guest.
I mean, let's get to the real reason why I'm here right now. Introduce the real reason why I'm here.
Let's go.
Hello.
Oh, that's a shot. That's a shot. We got a freeze frame.
Freeze frame.
Of Kay.
All right.
Glorious hair. Lovely bosoms.
All right. Well.
Let me block. What?
No.
Oh, hey, Ryan.
All right. It turns out Kay Slice is not going to be able to join us right now. Our daughter just got home.
Oh, okay. I guess that's an allowable reason not to have that goddess join us right now. But we love your daughter.
It's fun.
We also
Ryan
love your daughter.
Yes,
Ryan and Kay have a doorbell that says someone's at the fucking door. And we heard that right. And we both of us look at us and we go, oh.
All right, but you're getting called out. Are you going to finally
Tavern? There's nothing to admit. It's a biological fact. I am younger than you. I mean, not by much. We're both. What do you call people in their 50s?
I think the it's, no, we're
Quincentenarian.
Whatever. I mean, we're Gen Xers. Of course we do random shit. I didn't have anything to say off the top of my head.
I can still
Tavern, we are not boomers. Dovey, we are not boomers.
Yeah, I'm not a.
Our parents are boomers.
Yeah, for sure.
We're Gen X. We're badass as hell, is what we are.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're goddamn right. We invented skateboarding. We invented cappuccinos.
Grunge, unfortunately.
We invented avocado toast.
Fighting words, Jansen. Fighting words. No, we invented latchkey kits. We mastered, like how to use the phone without getting in trouble. Star 69, that was a thing. And yeah, 69, but not the way you're thinking. Star 69 was a thing, right? And do you remember when call waiting came out for the first time?
Yes, I remember three-way calling. I remember three-way calling.
Yes, but like I was not allowed to use the telephone from like 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock in case someone important had to call for whatever reason, because there was no call waiting. It was like you would get the busy signal, right? You remember that? But then call waiting comes out and it's like the best invention ever, because then you could be on the phone. And if somebody was calling you, you could just press the little button and be like, hello. And
Beth, we also were a part of the generation that could crank call. Now,
or knicker knocking. There were no ring doorbells.
Wait, what is ding dong ditch?
What is knicker knocking?
Ding dong ditch. Knicker knocking, ding dong ditch, same thing.
Knicker knocking sounds like you just walk up to someone and punch them in the nuts.
Yeah, hey, knicker knock. Hey, I just knicker knocked you.
With your face?
It's like you're wearing knickers and you're knocking on people's doors. But yeah, so I mean, Gen X, I would dare to say that Gen X is the greatest generation.
I'd say they're one of them for sure.
Capital T, capital G.
Fuck all those World War II vets.
Oh yeah. Okay, they're the greatest generation.
It's us. We've never been challenged with war. We just go through life watching everything change.
That's not true, Gene. That's not true. We had Desert Storm, and we were the first generation of large amounts of military people coming back with what would have been mortal injuries and being saved with technology.
Oh, yeah.
Beth, that's a police action.
Yeah, no, it was an operation.
A war. Come on, that was an operation. It wasn't World War II.
Yeah,
tell that to the people that lost limbs over there and are still alive.
No, you're right. No, absolutely. I don't want to say.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying. Semantics. It was a police action.
Right.
Yeah, I'm commenting on the whole idea of it not being a war.
Yeah. I get it. But I mean, so we really truly were when you think about it, we were the first generation of people who should have died from our wounds, but didn't. And the first generation of we're not the first generation of PTSD, but we're the first generation where PTSD was actually an acknowledged disorder, right? And so we were the first people who actually benefited from acknowledging military trauma. And speaking of trauma,
they used to use terms like a shell shock or the jitters, or all these weird just colloquialisms, because they didn't know. We didn't have the vocabulary,
Yep.
Jansen, you ever played a war scene in any regard at all? Have you ever shot a gun on camera?
Right.
Yes, but in space.
That's so cool.
So it was a little bit different as far as but it was the same thing, but it was on the deck of the Stargazer on
You know what? Fuck you.
Did they be like,
excuse my language.
Yeah. Is there safety training with a fake laser gun?
Yeah, there's actually a lot of training and a lot of in fact, even falling, it's just you're doing stunt work. Anytime you have any kind of weapon, whether it's a blade or a firearm or anything like that, you are essentially a stunt person. And in all honesty, in most of the television shows and the films that we see, all the people who are running around with guns and knives and swords and all those things, those are pretty much all stuntmen and women, and they're all very, very good. And I just recently had the opportunity of working with some people, and I guess you could call this a war scene. I was in a hostage scene very recently. I can't really say much about it, but because it has not aired yet. But I was just in a hostage scene recently, and
Jansen, I'd pay the ransom if you were in the hostage. I'd pay the ransom.
I thank you.
And Jansen, all kidding aside, I think it's so freaking cool that you got to be part of the Star Trek universe. Like, as a fan, like,
it was a true joy. I didn't even show you. One day, Beth, I'll show you something. My daughter, she was in the drama program at her high school, and her teacher happened to be cast as the voice of the computer on Star Trek.
Oh wow!
Oh, is that, what's her name?
Gosh, I can't remember.
What's the voice on the computer?
She's the voice of all the Star Trek.
The new voice,
the newer ones, the new voice.
And she talked to John Delancey and told John that my daughter, he was her favorite actor, and he videotaped a message to her. And one day I'm going to have to play that for you.
Oh,
it's fantastic. Oh, it's so heartwarming. Yeah, the guy's a good guy. I mean, it's fun to see that people that we see on screen, and in this case, this guy plays a nefarious guy a lot of times on screen.
I mean, he is freaking.
He's the best.
What's the word I'm looking for? I'm looking for like. He's
the best.
The face of a generation of villainry that you just don't see every day in TV.
He's one of the good.
And that episode of Picard where they had like their final reckoning, Oh my God, I was like, like my life is complete right now. The only thing that can be better than that, in my opinion, because I'm total fangirl, is if somehow Michelle Yeoh makes it back to this last season of Discovery that's coming out next in a couple months. Like, that's the only thing that would top that moment for me.
I think she may in a cameo, definitely.
All right, anyway, sorry.
Are you okay then?
I'm okay. I'm fine. I'm fine.
Star Trek stays extremely loyal to their cast.
Yeah.
Ever since Tasha Yar did that move.
Denise Crosby. Yeah.
Denise Crosby. And it was, I've heard, I've met her a couple times. I actually, when I first moved out here and was a bartender server, and I used to bartend and serve at a place she frequented a lot. And, I've heard her in some interviews, and she admittedly said it was bad advice. She had just started getting some really big roles like Pet Sematary and some things like that. Where she was,
I remember that.
And so she thought she was on her way, and everyone else stayed. It's like when you become part of that ensemble cast, it's a special moment. I think I would cry for a week if anything like that ever happened to me. To be a lead on one of those, just to work with those kinds of amazing people, from the crew to the cast to the directors and everything up, they're just special. And,
who directed the episode that you were on? Was it Jonathan Frakes? Did he actually direct?
Jonathan Frakes directed one of the episodes I was on, but he didn't direct all of them. He's another guy who's, there's those 100% awesome people.
I'm such a fangirl.
How many episodes did you do for Star Trek?
I was on 3.
awesome. That's almost like that's a reoccurring character for sure.
I guess. I mean,
Right. There's Jansen again. You know,
really
I'm
funny.
not jealous.
In the very first episode of Picard, I get shot twice in the same scene.
have you?
You're like 50 Cent, but like maybe 10.
Twice in the same. You see me like take it, and it was great because that was one of the first times I had ever done a whole lot of stunt work, as far as falling multiple times. And it was a lot of fun. And every scene that I was in, Patrick Stewart was in, and so was Jerry Ryan. It was really, really cool.
Oh my God, 7 of 9.
Jansen,
Yeah.
have you ever had a blood squib?
No, I have not.
That is a dream, man. I would love to just do a scene where I get shot and
All right, here we go.
Okay.
All right, no.
So it's like, hey.
Oh no, I come in. I'd be like,
Wait a minute.
And wait. I'm eating pasta. Let's
Okay,
set the
wait
scene.
a minute. Hold on. Just wait. Why does Brother Dan have Brother Ryan's voice right now?
what are you talking about?
Well, I don't know what you mean.
I don't know what you mean either.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so
All right, I'm
You're
eating
eating
pasta.
pasta?
Oh, this is the good of pasta. This pasta.
I'd be like,
no,
you
no.
killed Don Corleone.
What? No,
It's
it wasn't
not
me.
time for you
It
to
wasn't-
eat the
no.
meatballs.
I know three
Okay.
shots. Three.
Uh-huh.
The ravioli is delicious.
Well, no, I haven't had like blood squibs, but I have had after the fact blood and being dead, things like that.
But hey, wait, first off, more importantly, how did we do? How is that?
Yeah,
happening?
no,
That
I mean,
was
yeah,
top
I mean,
tier.
yeah.
That was like award winning.
I'm waiting
Okay.
I'm waiting for the Emmys to come calling.
Yeah,
I was
Exactly.
really feeling
Right. You guys, okay, so let me just tell you. Let me just tell you, Razor is one of the folks who is one of my followers and subscribers on Twitch.
Very
And
cool.
we came across each other because of another streamer who is
I
a
thought
drag
you were going
queen
somewhere else with that.
named Carrie the One. And
Right on.
Razor is a fan of science fiction and fantasy and had
What's up,
already
Razor?
seen all of the Wheel of Time TV shows and is currently reading the Wheel of Time and is on the
Very
Dragon's
nice.
Board right now.
Oh,
So
Oh, and cheers,
Yeah.
in definite respect to Razor.
yeah.
You know what? We got to tell everybody that we got some spoilers here.
Mhm.
And we're going to, we don't want to ruin anything that some of you new book readers are doing. So we want to just let you know we are going to be spoiling just about everything that happened in book 1, book 2, and lots of parts of book 3.
Book 3.
Right,
I don't, Razor,
Well
you
done.
don't really care about spoilers so much, do you? Because like you're kind of like for the experience, right? I think Razor was here last week or the week before when we were talking, and I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, yes, we love Razor. Razor is freaking
Right on.
hilarious and it's just like amazing person.
Nice. Very cool.
So anyway, yeah, one of my favorite people.
Well, I'm really glad you're here. Thank you for joining us, man. This is awesome. And I wanted to ask. So, Jansen, talking about blood in this episode, we do have a couple, like Rand has that dream where Nynaeve is all bloodied,
Yeah.
Aaron is all bloodied. So, have you had to be like bloody and dead? And what is that like? Do you have to sit there a while?
Yeah, it's not. Most of it
blood.
is, it's like their fake blood solution, and depending on who the stuntmen are, again, when people are getting splattered and there's like blood flying out of them and stuff, those are all stuntmen doing that, and
Okay.
they have blood splatter packs and things like that all on them and stuff like
So,
that.
Jansen, if you went into a show and you're like, no, I only do my own stunts, do you not get the part?
Well, if my last name is Cruz, then yes, I
I was waiting for it. I was waiting for it.
or if but I mean, we even heard very recently they were interviewing Harrison Ford, and they were talking about, the stuntmen that he's had over the years. And he's like, would you like to jump out of a plane and do this? And he said, dude, that's what stuntmen are for. Like, not me, And it's,
break an ankle.
I think he did break
filming
something.
One of the Indiana Jones movies.
Something like that.
Oh, like in the refrigerator, right? Was it the refrigerator thing?
I'm not sure. I haven't seen the most recent ones.
But the average person would hear Harrison Ford say something like that. What? I wouldn't do that. That's what stuntmen are for. And they would think that, oh, he's so arrogant. He just lets someone else do his work. But he understands that there's so many small parts and small pieces and so many people that go into a production that it's a team effort. And it's, everyone has their place and part. And if you are a stuntman and an actor who can do both, like, case in point, our dear friend Massima.
Oh, okay.
Oh, nice.
Hello, Hot Seema.
That was better.
Yes, and there are a lot of people. There were a whole lot of people in the Game of Thrones and other, who start learning, like Daniel Henney, who start learning and start practicing and start, actually becoming masters of their craft while they're working and learning while they're working, which is, to be honest, probably in the top two things which I love about the craft of acting and the craft of being able to do something different every day and learn so many new things to become something and create something to show people. I think it's amazing, and I think it's the reason why I still love just getting called for an audition, if it's even for a short, or going for a fitting that who knows if I'm going to get into, but I'm going to suck in my stomach just enough and put on those Spanx, so I do.
That's amazing. I love that.
But
I love that.
Do Spanx work well? Do they really do the job?
I mean, no. I mean, I got spanked, and look at me now.
So, any of you
Did
Star
Kay do
Trek
the spanking?
actors, everybody who wears that uniform on that ship had one. I'll tell you
Oh,
that.
I bet. Oh my God, those are very form
All
fitting.
right, trigger warning for anyone who's ever been spanked as a child.
Oh, I used to get.
Don't make me get my belt.
Or kink warning if this is your thing.
I mean, I was going to ask, did Kay spank you? Because that would be more appropriate, I think. Just
look. All right. Well, yes. Hey, do you spank me?
Holy shit!
Right?
I love you, Kay.
I don't think. No,
I mean, Kay can spank me. I mean, and I would not cry. Actually, I think Kay maybe did spank me.
You're gonna
Did you spank me at Jordan Con last year?
Now Ryan's
I think you did, or WatCon maybe. I know Dovey did. It's really bad when you can't remember who spanked you because you had so much to drink.
Right.
pillow fight and then all stay with each other in 90s.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. You want to stand just between the buttons?
So, bringing everything back to what we're here for today, guys.
I'm so sorry. I'm gonna be quiet now. I'm gonna mute my mic. I love you, Kay.
Love you too, Kay. But so to bring everything back to what we're here for, guys, we're here today to talk about episode 6. And episode 6, man, what a emotional ride. Hey.
Hi, I'm so sorry I'm late. I have had the weirdest week ever. So sorry.
Well, you just joined us just in time because we were talking about spanking.
Episode 6.
Consensual spanking. We just started talking about episode 6. But before that, we were talking about consensual spanking.
Attempts to come on Way of the Leaf. It's like last time it was our studio flooded, and also I destroyed our Instant Pot by accident. And Jansen, I just heard you trying to get it back to the episode. I swear to God, this will be 5 seconds. And now our studio,
take your time, man.
Our studio / Gus's office, which is our garage that just got like converted into a studio space, is full of mold, and we found that out.
Oh no!
So we're like remediating that right now. So anyway, this week has been freaking insane. So I'm so sorry. I've been on the phone with people.
You know
I,
what?
I
You're
sent you
here
guys-
and you're lovely and we love you. And thank you for being
thank
here.
you so much. I'm on location with Ryan here. He had to run off, but yeah, he's right here, so he'll be here. Yeah, I know, it's so fun, right? And yeah, mold is a real bitch. I had a little flooding in my basement, and the mold mitigation efforts were drastic. I mean, it's no joke. It's silly. So good luck with that shit.
Yeah, and they think that apparently mold can make your chronic illnesses worse.
Yes.
So apparently, and I have some bad ones. So and weirdly, I'm feeling much better. So who knows? And so it's possible that part of the reason why I've been feeling so bad lately is because I've been a little bit poisoned. It's fine.
You've been living you've been living in the blight.
Well, because we spend hours out there every week talking to people, and do the thing. And I guess the mold has been there since probably before we moved in.
You know what? Well, thank goodness your office flooded then, because if it hadn't flooded, you probably wouldn't have gone through the stuff that you're doing now to fix everything up. So thank goodness that
sometimes bad things are actually blessings.
Silver linings, baby, silver linings.
So anyway, crazy week. Anyway, let's talk about
episode.
Speaking of crazy, episode 6.
Allie, it's been a pleasure being on this weird journey with you with the flooding and the mold. I do need to figure out what happens at the end. We do need a conclusion.
Yeah, you have to keep us informed.
Yeah. I'll do my best to keep you all up to speed on the mold takes, as we've been calling ourselves. Yeah, I sometimes say, I'm like, I sometimes feel like I am on this planet to like make God laugh. Like I just, like there's so much seriousness, and then there's like mold. Like, and I
yeah,
like, our problems are bizarre. So yeah, so I'm like I call myself God's stooge as a joke. But yeah,
and it's such a gross word. Like things were named so appropriately, like ooze, like muck, like mold. Like there's like it just gives this ick feeling in general just by saying it. I don't know.
Yeah. Exactly. It's really appropriately named. Truly appropriately named. But yeah, so this episode, by the way, I give everyone an Emmy. It truly was an unbelievable. They went there. They really went there with something that's kind of mentioned on the page. You know what I mean? It's kind of mentioned in passing on the page that this is what happens, but I don't think we really get to live in the reality of Egwene's trauma as much as I tend to think we should.
Should we put a trigger warning out there too, also for mental, physical abuse? I mean,
we should probably
just even in talking about it, if gaslighting and mental abuse is not something that you are comfortable with, then this might not be the best episode for you to watch. Because it was very powerful, and they did a very good job.
And they, something that Rafe Judkins is doing. And I want to, I always stress this because I know so many people who are diehard book readers and diehard fans who are poo-pooing a lot of the things that have happened on the show and what is going on with the show. I am someone who has read these books many, many times. And I believe that every time I read it, I find something new to grasp onto or something different that I'm understanding. And I'm starting to find that out the same as I watch these more than once. Now, even from just the beginning of this episode, which was titled Eyes Without Pity, for so many times when I first watched this episode, because Robert Jordan always had meaning to each chapter's name. So I thought about why would he, why is this? And I thought the whole time that it's the eyes that Egwene is seeing from the Soldam through this entire episode. But then when you see the very last scene with Egwene and that Soldam, you know that it's actually Egwene's eyes. Because her eyes are eyes without pity at the very end, looking at that Soldam as she died.
Yeah.
And it was like, I was like, there it is. I was like, there's what encapsulates this chapter. And, you know, we have a lot of torture, a lot of pain, and a lot of demeaning, you know, and downgrading the existence and the life of humanity of a woman in this episode. And it is very tough to see, and it was very tough to read, but as I am here to talk about how things are different and why they are, something like this was made for film or made for television and made to be seen. And this is something that a cinematographer and a director, this is when you really start to create.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jansen. It was hard to watch, and that made it beautiful, right? I mean, it was the betrayal by Egwene showing just the trauma that she was going through, and I think it was skillfully done with those flashes of her trying to smash Rena with the pitcher, and suddenly she's writhing on the ground.
Yes, and for something like this, yes, Egwene gets the award. But for someone like me who has seen all of these different aspects, it took so many people to create this. You know, it took a whole lot of people to put this together, starting with Rafe Judkins and so many other people. And to have that, you know, this is the payoff for the crew, for the directors, for, you know, all of the people involved. This is when they're giving each other high fives, and this is when they're telling each other, we're here for a reason, and we did this, and this is awesome. And it's a great feeling when you can create something like this.
Well, and I go ahead. I'm sorry, Allie.
I was just going to say, let's also talk about Zelia Mendes-Jones, who plays Rena.
Who I think it's important really quickly to note that they use they, them pronouns.
They use they, them pronouns, correct.
They pronouns.
He, they, yes, he, they. Yes.
So I think it's important to distinguish when we're talking about Rena the character, she, her pronouns are appropriate because that's the pronouns of the character. But when we're talking about Zelia Mendes-Jones, we'll talk
the actor.
He, him,
he, they.
them in he, they.
Yeah.
Just to clear up any confusion about why we might be referring to Rena as she, her.
Yes. Yeah,
I appreciate that. I'll say I'll come right out. I think Rena is the worst cast of this episode. I'm trying to I was with Jansen. I visited Jansen last night. I had dinner at his house and met his family. It was great, Allie. And so we watched some of this episode, and I was like, imagine as far as saying these lines. And what would it have been instead? Like this, like I didn't like the portrayal. I think that like the line reading I didn't like. I still struggle with it. I've seen it 3 times, and I'm like, gosh, Rena bothers me. So help me.
What bothers you about it? What bothers you about the portrayal of Rena?
I think that it is too stoic. I think that she's trying. What we read about is that there's true, like they're trying to like break these women, but either with kindness or with harshness, right? And Rena is one who is mostly kind, and she follows through things, but it just doesn't hit with me. Like,
okay,
all the Shanshin, I don't like any of the Shanshin. I like
that's on purpose. But let me put it to you this way. Think about it this way, okay? The Suldam do not think of Damane as people. They are animals. And how does a dog trainer
That's exactly what I was going to say.
A dog? They are not emotional. They don't get riled up. They test the boundaries to see how the dog is going to respond, what is going to initiate the quote unquote proper response from said animal. And So I mean, I personally think that Zelia, oh god, the full name. I thought they were perfect. Mendez Jones. I thought they were impeccable as Rena. It was frightening to me to watch this rendition. And I think that quote unquote stoicism is a front, because there are times when the emotion shined through, like when Rena tried to get Egwene like feel the tree, and then she felt like there was like this bonding moment between them, and like that joy that Rena had after Egwene accomplished blowing the tree up, to see that switch turn like instantly when Egwene rejected her. I think that I mean, I have a totally different take on Rena, and I think the reason why you see her that way is because Rena is not looking at Egwene as a person. This is not a person-to-person relationship. This is a person-to-animal training
that's
relationship.
Now, I was thinking like how interesting it was for us to like a typical torture scene, and I'm sorry to trigger warning for anyone who's been through torture, but a typical torture scene includes a lot of physicality, a lot of interaction with the human body, like whatever is happening. This was like all done with expression, right? Like she never touched her. She had to just like look like, oh look, I'm channeling, and Egwene starts responding, which is such a different way of looking at how to do a torture scene. So Rena had to just carry it with her face, a lot of times, which was a very like a huge challenge. Like maybe like a better, I don't know.
And the face stuff didn't bother me. It was the line reading, I guess. I guess I don't know. I just to me, I mean, I'm here with friends. This is a safe place.
I mean, your take is valid, but I think it was delivered that way on purpose, and I think it was, like if we're gonna talk about not great acting, right, or like misplaced characterization, I guess, because I don't want to call anybody a bad actor.
You won't hear me say anything like that.
No, at all, and never. I think the misstep. I think if you're going to look at anybody who was like a misstep, maybe a casting misstep, for lack of a better term, I don't know, and I'm not associated, so I can say these things, is the person who played, oh my God, Sue Roth. I think that was probably the biggest misstep in casting of the entire season. That was, for me, maybe because she had so many scenes with Ferris.
Her last name is McAdams, right?
Karima McAdams, I think.
Is she related to Rachel McAdams?
I have no idea. I mean,
they look a lot alike, and I was wondering. I didn't know.
It's possible, but I just feel like her, maybe because she had so many scenes with so many powerful.
I don't think so, because she's British. And Rachel McAdams is Canadian.
Okay.
That's amazing. So for me, like I thought, like sometimes when she was on, it felt like a high school play reading lines. I don't know how to explain.
I mean, I'm not going to go that far, but I mean, I just feel like maybe her presence was diminished by somebody like Ferris, who has such like charisma on the screen, right?
But I think that Ferris as a character, like his character,
it was on purpose.
I feel like the characters are trying to accomplish different things, right? So to Zelia Mendez Jones's character, to Rena, I mean, they are working by a script. This is the way that they train Damani, right? Even the person, even the person that is in the next room, who's the woman from the Blue Aja, whose name's escaped, Megan. Did the same thing to me, and I lasted less long, right? So there is and Rena views herself as one of the nicer Suldom.
So actually let Egwene keep her name, right?
Like there's a horror to that where it's like if what we saw was in her mind justified as, well, I'm nicer than I'm not like other Suldom. I'm a cool Suldom. Like what the hell are the other Suldom doing to their Damani? First of all, but so I feel like the roteness of what she was doing and the feeling of going through the motions, just like Beth said, feels very spot on to me. In terms of Ferez and Ferez's charisma, Ferez is playing the father of lies.
Correct.
The person whose literal gig is convincing people to go to the dark side, right?
Why, hello there.
I've been calling him the recruitment chair of the Forsaken.
I love it.
Right? Like he's the
I love it.
Chair. So like his job is to be that charismatic person that draws you in. And so, to that extent, I mean, obviously he freaking nails that job because there have been several moments where I'm like, hold on, let's hear what he has to say. You know what I mean? Where I'm finding myself going, I mean, how bad are the dark friends really? And I think what's good about with the Shan-Chan, I think there are a couple things at play. One, I think we can't, given the politics of today and also given what I think is responsible to portray, I think there can't necessarily be as much. I think that the topic of slavery needs to be handled really thoughtfully
and very carefully, because you cannot humanize people who are doing that on television.
Yeah, I think we are not at a point where we as a culture can be going, I mean, not all slavery was bad. Like first of all, we should, and I don't think we should ever be at that point as a culture of like, well, let's like also kind of look at the nuances here. And I do think that, the show is giving us a freaking lot of nuance, but I've always read Egyanin as a spoiled brat. I've always read her that way, as someone who views themselves as far more capable. I'm not Egyanin, I'm sorry, Suroth.
Yeah, because I was like, Egyanin is my bae, okay?
No. I've always read Suroth as a spoiled brat who thinks that she is more important and smarter and better than she is. So to me, it's like, I don't know, if we're not like a big fan of Suroth because we feel like she's spoiled and a brat and not very smart, well, that feels like actually pretty spot on to me.
Spot on. Yeah, that's true. Good point.
I mean, I think that they are not likable people because they are not likable people.
Yeah. I don't think that they're going to be likable people either.
And I don't think they should be likable people.
No.
I really want them to have Egyanin in the show though, because I do feel like there needs to be like a redemption arc they can't paint the entire culture as this with this broad stroke. I do think that they need to bring in some Shan-Chan or like even we're not going to see I can't. No, I'm not spoiled. Yeah, I'm not saying anything. I'm just going to say that, I do hope that they do have some people who are redeemed, who have character arcs that can show redemption qualities.
Yeah.
I know how they're going to do it too, but I can't say anything yet.
Okay.
In terms of the, and Jansen, I want to hear your thoughts too, but in terms of the, just ways in which we can provide some nuance in the Shan-Chan, I think there's a lot to explore. And I know a lot of people who have kind of deprogrammed from really toxic upbringings and like the bravery that entails and the difficulty that entails, even though it's the right thing to do. We've talked a lot on the show about like how sometimes doing the right thing to do is the hardest thing to do. Being like, I'm going to cast off everything I've ever known and like my entire culture, my family, my friends, my community, my people, because I have been presented with information that I can't look away from, that like shows me that what I've been conditioned to believe is actually horrible. I think that there is room with Egyanin, because I think that is what Egyanin's journey is ultimately. I mean,
100%. 100%.
There's room to showcase like, and I think we should always be looking at this, the power of when we were presented with new information that illuminates something that once you thought was a given as something that's actually really malicious and toxic, the power of being able to say, like, I'm not going to be that anymore, and how hard that is to do.
When
Like,
you're
that
at that crossroads, what decision do you make? Like,
Yeah.
you can't be blissfully ignorant anymore, right?
And it's not just one crossroads, right? It's everything.
Right.
It's like I'm going to dismantle step by step, every step being that crossroads, dismantle my entire belief system. Like, I have seen people do this, and it's freaking scary, and it's
hard work.
amazing.
Wait,
It's
what
hard
do
work.
you mean by you've seen people do this? I'm sorry. Like,
I've seen people like deprogram from like abusive situations. I've seen people
Or deconstructing religion,
from cults and
deconstructing
religion.
overwhelming
Yeah,
religion.
Super bad for them, and it's and it's really not fun. Like, it is really
No, it's
like,
not. I mean, I told you guys before, I was in a cult.
happened.
I was in a church cult.
Yeah.
I've deconstructed Christianity. I've gone through deconstruction. It is hard work, and it takes
horrifically
years to
Yeah.
get to the point where you can consider yourself a sane, rational human.
Well, what's the difference between a cult and a religion besides numbers? We were raised Catholic, and it took a long time for me to get.
I
beyond that.
mean, it's pretty. I mean, we'll not get into the nuances of it here and there, but a cult is basically manifesting itself into every aspect of your life, every single aspect of your life.
I dig it.
Okay.
Beth, I want to read the book of your life.
Yeah,
honestly.
No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't.
Yeah.
No. How do you
But-
go from cult child to like a successful streamer?
Lots of hard work. But I want to ask you guys a question about this too. So in the Shanshan, the society culturally, right? As book readers, we know how females are tested once they kind of hit puberty, right? Every year, the Shanshan come through testing all the women to see if they have the ability, if they're born with the spark to channel. So people they're raised with this knowledge that it could happen to them. So in my headcanon, I feel like the majority of Shanshan Damane kind of toe the line because it's expected of them, and that's their cultural societal norm is, okay, well, I can channel, so this is my role in life, this is my lot in life, this is who I am now, what I am now. And how hard do you think it was when the Damani came to the Westlands, Randland, and all of a sudden found all these women who maybe weren't necessarily even Aes Sedai, but like were born with a spark that didn't even really know that they could channel. And all of a sudden they're dealing with these willful, women who have a sense of independence and know who they are. And all of a sudden they're not towing the line. I think that is another step, because at this point they had been in Falma for a while and they had been in Toman Head for a minute. So I think they were done and they were over the standing up for themselves that these women of the Westlands have. And I think that might be another added level to the type of pressure and manipulation that the Suldam are showing. I think it was even more difficult on Egwene than it was like on Mygan, right? Because they learned the tricks to master the willful Damani. Does that make sense? Do you think that they had time to hone that craft? I don't think they realized what they were going to get into when they landed here.
I mean,
you brought up a few things. One of them is that they knew what to look for like channeling, right?
Right, because they put the Adam on their necks, and if they respond, then that was the way that they tested them. And the way that they tested them was when the women were getting, like, as you are a teenager and you're gonna channel regardless, right? Like we saw that in season 1 with Moraine teaching Egwene. She's like, you were born with the spark, you're gonna channel regardless. I'm gonna help you through it because you don't want to be one of these people who die, because most of the people don't. So that's how they find them.
I mean, I'm just
right.
imagining.
So they came just like with big baskets, just hoping to just pick all these channelers up.
Well, I don't know. I think that it's one of those things where it's like, I think it's very different to know. Well, first of all, you're in a big structure, right? An empire that is functioning this way for a long time. But I think it's very different to see other women being victimized in this way, right? And make no mistake, I mean, what's happening is horrendous. But it's one thing, but it's a completely different thing, I think, when it's you. So I have to imagine that they don't only get people willing to be Damani. I think that likely
they probably had the headstrong. No, it's not me. It's not me.
Yeah, probably. I'm sure that they have people who are, and I mean, imagine you're like, no, right? I mean, Tuon can channel, right?
Right. So, Allie, what's the difference?
She had the ability to do it from just being, right? Like that, her channeling was inevitable. I'm sure even through the rules of this culture, she would have been subjected to being a Damani. I'm sure that would not have been a very easy transition for her to make.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Do we know, Allie, if it would have been accepted if Tuon could have been a Soldon? I mean, so what do you know about?
She could be a Soldon.
She is. She talks about how. I'm so sorry. I interrupted you.
No, go. Yeah. What do we know about how they figure out the difference between Damane and Soldom in testing, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of how they distinguish between like who can be a Soldom and who can't.
They all can channel. And so what's the delineation, I guess, in the Shanshin?
I think, I mean, just like in the delineation, it's between those who innately have that spark and those who can learn. So the Soldom are the people who can learn, and the Damani are you checking to make sure I know that, or
no? I honestly, I'm dumb. I'm a puppet right now, I'm dumb.
What you
I don't know.
You grab Ryan puppet, now you're dumb. All right, actually,
Tuon is a Soldom. Right. He's really proud.
I have a question regarding this comment right here. So Glenn says he feels as much for the actress playing Rena, as she does Madeline, as he does Madeline. Now, makes me wonder: have you had to write a scene, or have you compelled yourself to write a scene that involves such like kind of like like anything negative like that? And what is that like for you as a writer? And do you think about the actors when you're writing such things? Like,
yeah, I mean, in terms of writing a scene that it has really difficult content, yeah, I have. I think it's one of those things. It's one of those things where, I mean, I think you operate to the height of your intelligence and your empathy, and that's the most important thing to do. I try to read accounts if it's a life circumstance that's different than my own. I try really hard to do my research, find sensitivity readers if that's needed. Really work on it. But yeah, I mean, I've had kind of one of the hardest ones is I had and this actually happened, but I was writing a historical fiction about Maria Theresa, and I hope that's in a lot of processes at the moment, but her mother went through this thing where her father basically force-fed her, thinking that would help her conceive a son, and basically like held her down and like forced food down her throat. And so I wrote about that. And obviously that is an experience that I have never had before in my life, and hope I never do. But that was a very difficult scene to write because it is an experience that I've never had, and I just had to operate at the height of my intelligence and empathy and think about, I mean, unfortunately, a lot of what it involves, just like with actors, is trying to kind of imagine what that would be like, and kind of put yourself and in that mental space of, you know, I've not experienced that, but I have experienced an abusive relationship. And so like just kind of trying to like put myself in that position of like what that would feel like to be continuously forced to be with that person, and then have a child that has the ability to do something different and be something different and not be forced to live the experience that her mother has, and be kind of like one of the first people to experience that, that this woman knows, and end up becoming the most powerful woman that has ever lived. And so, yeah, so I mean, that scene as an example was something that I really had to like sit with for a long time. And then hopefully what you do afterwards is you find some like really nice Great British Baking episode that you can kind of unwind to. And you absolutely think about the actors too, having to experience that. And it's like, you hate to do that to your characters, but it's like, sometimes that is what the story needs. But like, I mean, to kind of branch that out into like why you make the decision to include scenes like that is, it's like, you always ask yourself the question of like, why do I need this? Why does the story want to go there? Can I operate at the height of my empathy and intelligence and tell this story that might not be my own, but it's essential to do it right?
Well, oh my God, Madeline, can you imagine? I mean, you know, I mean, I can even see in my head how those sets, those days were.
I was going to ask, do you think it was a close set for some
I
of
think
it?
for a lot of it, oh yeah. And I think also it was very quiet. She had they gave her a lot of space and a lot of time before and after. Because I mean, I would really, really like to see how, if they did all those scenes concurrently or if they didn't, you know, but I would think that they would try to get them done as quickly as possible and not bring her back to that space a lot. Because I mean, let's face it, this character, you know, spoiler, no spoiler, this character goes through a lot. Like, in her book life, she goes through a lot. And she was meant to go through a lot as a symbol, you know, of the strength of the White Tower, of this, you know, the steadfastness of her position and everything. But yeah, Madeline, she probably didn't sleep well for a few nights. And I mean, she, you know, I would go as far as to say that Madeline Madden will never be the same person that she was before she did those scenes.
Oh my God, for real? Is it? Okay,
yeah.
let's dig a tiny bit into that. I mean, so we assume that everyone is a professional that is performing what you write on script, but do you ever have where you think, Allie, that you may actually be jeopardizing the person who has to perform what you write?
Of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah,
Wow.
I mean, I think that's the thing is, when you're making the decision to include really heavy scenes, you're thinking about it in terms of like, is that something that is necessary? Can I tell it in a responsible way? And can we set up the conditions on set that actor is provided for in a safe way? Now, I don't always have control over what the set environment is like, and I don't always have control. I don't have control over everything, obviously, but I think at the end of the day, you justify it to yourself as if that is what the story needs, and if I can tell it in a way that is responsible, and honoring the lived experience of not only the actors involved, but my audience, then that is something worth telling. I never think that there is anything that you can't cover. I never think that. I always think, though, that you should always ask yourself why. Why do I feel like I need to be the one to tell this story? Especially
Ooh, I like that.
I have, right? Why do I feel like my voice is necessary in this story? Why do I feel like it's necessary for people to see this? What am I trying to say?
Allie,
Operating at the height of my intelligence and empathy.
Do you feel constricted at all by those? Like,
no.
Okay.
No, I don't. I don't.
I mean, like on some level, like a good story is a good story. Like George R.R. Martin writes some of the most graphic, like horrifying scenes, and you could look at him and be like, why do you feel like you need to go there? Like, why do you, George R.R. Martin, feel like you can say these things or go there? Like when you're like, I almost feel like I want him to feel free to go there, and we could judge it later. Like, I don't know.
Well, it's also you have to know who you're writing for as well. Like, if Allie's writing for Rugrats, she's not going to be writing for the same people who are going to be watching Game of Thrones. You know what I mean?
We're not having anything. Believe me, standards and practices make sure that there's nothing in those episodes, even if they got past me somehow. That there's nothing in those episodes that could negatively impact a child. So so it is a funny question to tackle because the majority of my experience has been in the children's space, and so some of those things are not issues that I encounter on the day to day. But certainly in my like broader writing and the other things that I write, there are questions of why I'm never one to be like, I'm going to tell a writer what they can and can't write. And I'm never going to be the person that says anything about it. I think George R.R. Martin in his writing had something that he was trying to say with the graphicness of that world.
Yeah.
And that was a deliberate choice on his part. I think at the end of the day, every artist, it's a judgment call. And you get to go off of what morally and ethically and mentally you feel like you are equipped, feel like you're equipped to handle. And you are also, by extension, taking responsibility for whatever may come of that. Now, granted, you might write something that to you doesn't feel like a big deal, right? To you, it's a lived experience or something that doesn't really impact you that much. And the world being what it is, with 7 billion people in it, someone else might find that deeply hurtful or incorrect. You cannot write for everybody, right? And so again, it's a judgment call. But I think you do owe it to your readers to at least be thoughtful about what you're putting in your work, because it's no different to me than just
and that being said, if you're a writer and you get a call and it says, we need you to write this show that's going to be on Cinemax at 7:00, you kind of know what you're going to be writing about.
You kind of
because you're writing because people watch those shows to watch certain things. Yeah. So exactly. So to clarify one quick thing, Beth, and I'm going to let you have it. I'm not saying that, to go back from what I said about Madeline Madden and how it's going to change her life. I'm not saying that she's going to be going through therapy or going through anything like that. But whatever anyone reads, anyone has a different experience, it's going to change them somehow in some way. And because she went through these scenes, this is going to change the way she approaches them sometimes. Maybe it might be a small thing, but it might be a bigger thing. But you never know. But something is going to change because of it.
Jansen, real quick, like you mentioned, that Madeline is going to be changed forever by what she had to go through to make that work. Have you yourself been changed by a role you've had to
I've been changed by exercises in acting class 15, 20 years ago even. I still think about them sometimes, like crying on the floor, like wow, oh my God, I've definitely, I mean, every single thing that's why this is such a different journey for so many people, is because every single thing that you do adds to your toolbox and changes the approach that you do it the next time with. Yeah. So, everything I do, I'm a sponge. I bring it in and, good or foul.
like you don't need to like necessarily go or talk about it, but have you been like emotionally changed? Have you had to like go to a place as an actor where it was hard to come back from, or
well, I've had, I've been able to sometimes, if I wanted to draw from the worst parts of my life, I don't know if I would come back from those things. So, I've tons and tons of training, but I know where to stop and where not to. You have to give yourself that, you have to know yourself, and you have to know your instrument. And, in my case, my instrument is my body, my well-being, my mind, my speech and everything. And like I have said from weeks before, there's some roles I won't audition for or I won't want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, your body doesn't know the difference between acting and actual experience. So what you're doing, like when you have a role like Bella Ramsey's role in The Last of Us as Ellie, right? And she has to go through those scenes. Your body is physically going through those emotions and those feelings and those experiences. And your brain doesn't necessarily recognize the difference between fake and real.
And there can come a point where it seems exactly the same.
Yeah.
I have gotten to points where there is no difference in my emotions.
I mean, aren't those some of the best performances ever, though? You hear about those actors who well, I guess it could have a toll on their personal space.
Right.
Too,
And like
but
it's an ongoing
yeah, I can see that.
Bjork did one movie. She did Dance in the Dark, and it's amazing, and she won awards, and she said she'll never act again because she was not able to act.
Who did one movie?
Bjork.
Oh, Bjork. Yeah.
Yeah. And it is a riveting movie. And she said, I could not act. I could only be. And it was too much for me. I'll never act again. She said, I'll never do another movie because of the emotional toll it took.
Well, I believe that the little girl in Sophie's Choice, I believe this is true. I read this somewhere. And I think it's true that she didn't know that it wasn't real.
I would believe it.
In that take. And so she did not act again, from what I recall from this article.
That leads to the question.
Ago, but I believe that so there's a lot of discussion about like what's ethical to put children through on set. What's
yes, absolutely. Yeah.
There's been a lot of change in those regards, but I mean,
I have children who have work permits and audition, and it is a different world for kids. And, there are a lot of protections right now for kids, from the financial situations to all things to, for them having their own bank accounts. There's a thing called the Cooney account, which is because of the guy that played Uncle Fester.
Yeah.
What?
And his last name was Cooney, and they had to put things in place so people couldn't take advantage of these kids, the money that they're making and the things that they have to have, and we see it all the time with like stars' parents who pay themselves this outrageous amounts of money and do these things. Now, granted, I understand that it is a hard thing to take care of a child actor, but it's very easy to also take advantage of a child actor because they don't know what's going on.
Yeah. And we, and it's actually, we're getting some content creators from like Disney Channel kids, from Nickelodeon kids that are now.
Yeah. Samantha, what's her name?
They're doing awesome. They're doing really like expose style videos of the experience they had. I really, I appreciate it, man. Let me ask you though. So you were talking about the script in these delicate scenes. There are script supervisors I saw. So what is a script supervisor to you, Allie? Is this an ally or an adversary?
Everyone wants to be an ally, ideally. I mean,
they usually work pretty closely with the writers.
Yes. So they're just making sure a lot of the time that the continuity is consistent, that there are no anachronisms in your script. Their job is to basically, because no writer can, I mean, other than their showrunner, but they're busy, can necessarily have a feel for every element that's going on. So their job is essentially to make sure that everything is kind of staying consistent across the board.
Yeah, and some of them will have lots of clipboards, and it'll say things that you cannot do, things that they have to do. We have to see this. Like, remember that, like, Rand's hand needs to be turned this way so you can see the heron. There's so many small things that those guys do.
And that's the script supervisor?
That this character's afraid of birds, so them having a pet bird makes no sense. Like, it's just those little things that, like, you know, in the stresses of creating a show and with so many moving parts, you want to have somebody that's got a feel for those little details that are important not to miss.
Tiny things overlap. They talk to a lot of people. Like, they talk to the cameraman, you know, they talk to the DP saying, remember that, like, that hat needs to be tilted this way when she's saying this line. Like there's so many little things that they need to do. It's crazy.
Yeah, they're some of the hardest working people on set, for sure. I mean, yeah.
So we would assume that the
people on set are the lowest paid. So
can we assume that the script supervisor is like pretty knowledgeable about the has read the books? I mean, is this like our Sarah Nakamura on?
Not necessarily have read the books. I mean, but they're versed in what's supposed to happen and what the vision of the writers and what the DP and everybody has come to, you know, what they've talked about. They're there for the meetings. They're there for, you know, they know what's what, but they don't necessarily have had to have read the series or anything like that.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know if they were like the expert of the lore.
I mean, they bring people in for stuff like that. Like, when I was working on a show called Snowfall, you know, they literally had gang members who were in there, you know, as people to keep continuity and keep things like, no, dog, you don't stand that way. You have to stand this way. This is how it was in the 80s. You know, like, there's so much.
yeah, they do that with medical shows too. They'll usually have a doctor
and military shows.
Military shows, especially military shows.
And so these people are considered script supervisors, or
no? They're considered the different role. But
what is their role?
Continuity coordinator.
No, they're like experts. They're just like experts. Like a lawyer would get an expert like veterinarian when they have to, you know, have somebody with a dog bite or something like that. You know,
so
they have like experts.
In the credits, it would say expert.
No, it would say consultant.
Consultant.
Yeah, it would say consultant.
Okay.
Yeah, legal consultant or you know, police consultant. Yeah, but you know, so that's.
All right.
Hey, sorry, my husband.
Has anybody heard about this story? Sinan said, "What about the dude who played the Joker, Jared Leto? Sent the cast a dead pig at the very first table read. Was it Jared Leto or was it Heath Ledger?"
Well, no, Jared Leto Jared Leto is one of those actors who immerses himself completely when he's in a role.
He is.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a Jared Leto stan. Like, you can't say anything bad about him.
All right, well, if
he grows a great beard and has great hair,
if he sang you a dead pig, you'd be stoked. Is that what you're saying?
No, but I'm all on board for the methodology, I guess, except minus the pig, because, you know, I'm vegan, so not for animal. He's currently touring, has a world tour with 30 Seconds to Mars right now, so he's not acting right now. He's singing right now. That's all.
He just climbed like
Jared Leto is singing?
No,
he's the lead singer of 30 Seconds to Mars.
Yeah,
is that a good band?
It's a band.
They're a pretty good band.
I mean, they've sold a lot of albums.
I've been a fan of Jared Leto since My So-Called Life in the 90s. So, like,
yeah, no, he's one of those guys like that.
He's a little weird, but he's amazing.
His first really big movie was a movie, I believe, called Requiem for a Dream, which was really, really, really great.
He was also in that movie with, what was the movie that was the AIDS epidemic in the 80s?
Philadelphia.
No.
Philadelphia.
Milk.
And it wasn't Philadelphia.
I beat you.
That was Tom. No,
That was Tom
Hanks.
That was Tom Hanks.
He got beat up in Fight Club because Tyler Durden wanted to see something beautiful destroyed.
That's Jared Leto.
That's Jared Leto.
He was in Dallas Buyers Club. Was the name of the movie?
Oh,
Dallas Buyers Club.
Okay.
He was. I think he was nominated for an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor in that role.
He was.
With Matthew McConaughey, right? Wasn't that?
And McConaughey won that year. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So is Jared Leto
Anyway.
on 1 2 or?
So can I ask a question? An acting, writing question that I've been wanting to ask for a little bit. I just have a question. So it's particularly with like cast actors who are main cast members. In a situation like this, would there let's talk about like the iconic moment where George Lucas didn't tell anybody on set that Darth Vader was Luke's father, right? Like it was a total mystery. They found out about it very briefly beforehand, and everybody was gobsmacked. Nobody knew. It was a total secret, right? So, but when you come to a situation where you're working with people week after week after week after week, how much, I don't want to say warning, but advanced knowledge would have been given to Madeline that this was going to be coming? Like, is this something that they would have even kept in mind, like in a casting mindset? Like, would they have to have the foresight to think about that far in advance if we get to this?
There is
portion.
Absolutely no way, no chance that they didn't talk extensively with her about this.
That was my biggest thing. Like she would have had to have had some kind of, because like she could have very easily have said, "This is not for me. Like I can't go there."
Even if she said that at the last day, they would have stopped.
Okay.
You know, she wouldn't because she's an actor and she knows like she's gotten in this far. I don't think she ever would. I wouldn't.
But what I mean is like, would they have kept in a casting standpoint this far out, like especially having source material to draw from, right? Like we're adapting a material that's already been published. Is that something from day one you're thinking this is the story arc of this character? This we're looking very, very, very long term when we're casting. Is that really, like, is that how it works? I guess is basically.
I mean, I'm telling you, during all of these scenes, I guarantee you, Madeline was asked, "Are you okay?" probably 100,000 times.
But was she given knowledge, like, or like at least knowing when or initial casting was happening in 2017, 2018, this character is going to go through some heavy shit.
Yes.
Including this.
Well, and also
can you handle it? Like,
you
that's
also
kind of like,
consider this. When she was called first for this show.
Yeah.
And knew that she had a chance on getting on this show, I'm 100% sure she dove into these books.
She read everything. Yeah.
Every single thing that she knew about it. I mean,
she definitely read the
she knew
books. Yeah.
Yeah, she knew what she was going into.
Okay, cool.
Your question is awesome, though. So let's go into Beth's question. So when they casted did she have to do a scene that may have been along these lines because they knew that she had to?
I don't necessarily think
I
that.
highly doubt that. No, her first scene was probably not that at all. I mean, you delve into stuff like this way later. This is season 2 as well. You got to remember that. This is also season 2.
But you know what's going to happen. So it's not like we're writing it on the fly. We have the books. So we know that she's getting captured and she's going to have a troublesome time.
I mean, if I'm a betting man, I'm thinking that Madeline was probably looking forward to this. To show her chops. I mean, she's good. You know, I mean,
really good.
This is, you know, when you have scenes like this, you know what you can, because you're an artist too. You know what you can do with it, and this is, to date, probably some of her best work. I would say.
Agreed.
You know, this is probably, you know, her swan song as far as right now.
Right.
You know,
there were lip quivers. There were her just facing dirt. I mean, this is all emoting big time. That I didn't know if it may have been part of the audition process. Was it? It's too far ahead, or did they know that this shit's going to happen, and our actress needs to be able to do this? So did they have that in mind?
I mean, they definitely, during the casting process, were looking for someone that had the emotional range, if that's your question, to handle all that Egwene's storyline entails. And they likely had sample scenes that were specifically designed to make sure that that was the case. But, like, did they have her do a scene from this episode? No.
No.
Right.
No.
No,
I mean,
the episode was not ready.
And I'm loving the little nuances, and I always look for the little nuances. I really, really, really like how they are showing you don't have to like me, but you will respect me, motherfucker. Egwene, because that is who she was through the entire book. Like, and there were times when I did not like Egwene. I'm just going to say that right now.
Most of them.
Right.
There
are times I don't like Egwene.
Yeah,
I still don't.
Yeah, and but
well, you know, there's no saying anything for taste. I mean,
yeah, but you I mean,
know,
but
no,
regardless, you must respect Egwene, Alvear. You know, like, no matter what, you have to, even if it's
she's definitely a
whatever.
force to be reckoned with, for sure.
Yes, you must respect her, and yeah, she's Madeline's doing a great job, and I'm, good to be really. The other thing that, going to what you were saying, Beth, about where they asked this, first, this is a series of change.
Right.
So all of these actors become different people. That's why I'm looking forward to next season where Nynaeve isn't going to be so serious anymore, and she's pretty much the butt of everyone's jokes and tons of comic relief. And I'm looking forward to seeing those changes in these actors and how they do that. Like, they become very, very different people from where they start. So, I mean, as an actor, I think that's such a treat. Having, I think that's just a big treat to be able to do something like that. It's like doing, God, what's the play that I did? I can't even remember, but whatever. It's just like changing, Oh, man.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm going to say hi really quickly.
Hi, Kay.
Because
Hey, Kay.
otherwise I was just this weird lurker that randomly appeared in your conversation. And
You might
it's
be
a great
weird, but you
conversation.
can lurk
but
anytime, baby.
I'm super
lurk
lurking
anytime.
right now. That was a little awkward, but thank you. I'm just popping in because, my daughter finally has gone to resting state, a little bit of a resting state. I was going to say asleep, but that's not true. And then I changed halfway through my sentence. But anyway, Ryan's going to take care of it, I guess, if she needs anything. So, hello.
Oh, you mentioned Ryan. He's a powerful.
Oh, yes. How's everybody doing? This is so fun to be here. I'm never on this show because it's all spoilery,
It's very spoilery, but we're
Yeah.
so happy to have you here.
But not today. Not today. Today we're getting into the weeds on just episode stuff, which is great. I love it. This is
Hi, Allie. It's good to see you.
Hey, so good to see you too. How you doing?
Good. Been good. A little sick, under the weather, so I sound a little, stuffy. But no, everybody's getting it though, right? Unfortunately,
Yeah.
it's gone around. Yeah. How are you guys doing? Since the big storms, things. I know I heard a lot.
Infestation. So we're kind of dealing with some stuff, but yeah.
Okay.
But apparently, the flood kind of just revealed what was already there. So that's the good news. Is actually it was actually kind of a
Kind of a silver lining, like you get to take care of some stuff. Hopefully, like with insurance money and not like I don't know.
Looks like insurance will take care of it, at least.
Oh,
most of
good.
it.
Well, that's huge. That's huge.
Yeah.
Silver
But,
linings, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you just kind of have to roll with what comes.
Exactly. That's the name of the game.
So, Carissa, as far as this scene goes, I know that you really resonated or it reacted to a Lanfear with Leandrin and her old man son.
Can I find out, wait, really quickly before I say something stupid? What book are you on, Kay?
Oh, we're on Winter's Heart.
Okay, great.
Like partway, halfway through, Dan?
Yeah, about 2/3 of the way.
Like halfway?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, I'm not used to doing this.
I know.
Usually
you're the one they have to do.
You don't have spoilers.
I know, I'm not used to doing that. And now I'm like scared of everything I say.
But
it's a role switcheroo, but
it certainly
good.
is. It's fun.
Yeah, we had Lanfear kill Leandrin's son in front of her, and she just kind of took. I mean, this to me, it really like exemplified just the tragedy it is to be associated with the dark and having to deal with this stuff. Right? We had in the books where I think it was Bornhold was he like all his family was getting killed every week. You know, like these sort of things. I guess to me it was a little callback. But Kay, you resonated a little bit with this, right?
Yeah, well, I thought it was like in general just an incredibly powerful scene, regardless. And oh my gosh, Kate Fleetwood is that her name?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Fleetwood, right? I want to say Fleet Mac or Macwood, and
Fleetwood
Mac. She deserves all the awards for that scene. I feel like she was just phenomenal, and I thought that it was really interesting, like an interesting way to give us some story, like some history of the Aes Sedai, and I thought it was a creative way to do that. So I mean, not only did I just like my heart sunk and I cried during that scene, and it was just very powerful overall. So like from a watcher's perspective, that it was just a really powerful scene in general. But then to have the like additional just storytelling aspect of it, I thought that was nice and a good way to do that. Yeah.
Kate Stewart is a phenomenal actress. One of my favorite things I've seen her in is she was Lady Macbeth with Patrick Stewart as Macbeth.
This is what I constantly hear is her like most amazing role. Sorry, keep going.
She's unbelievable in it. Yeah, definitely check it out. It's
she was also in the show Harlots.
I have to see that.
Oh, was she?
Yes, she was.
I didn't
Harlot.
So. Harlots.
Like
you're a harlot.
I don't know.
Yes,
no.
On Hulu. Yes.
Not harlot.
Yes.
Yeah,
but,
no, I call you a
hey, brother Dan, check private chat.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, you're right.
Oh, okay. Yeah, fine. Beth, we love you. Thank you for joining us.
I love you guys. I'll talk to you later.
You're amazing. I love you. Call me.
Call me, Kate. Call me.
Okay, I will call you.
Call me, Kate.
I ended up being the caller instead of being. I said call me first, and then she got away with no. Call me.
She's like, no, I'll answer. It's like, I miss her already.
Me too.
This episode, I think, made sense for the most part where everyone was going to be in Falmouth, right? We had everyone like it made sense. I kind of liked how this was done.
Well, they introduced a lot of things in this that book readers know, but some book readers might not even think about because they haven't read it as many times as I have. But they've introduced the hint of traveling. They've introduced traveling, and traveling was a big deal in the books, and they introduced that this episode because we know that can happen now. But she calls it her little secret when Matt asks how he got here. And something else that's happening now, we actually get to see Matt navigating the world, which is something that was one of my favorite parts of the entire series. So I'm actually very happy that Matt's out and about and doing things that we can see him do now. I like that aspect of everything. I just would like to see more of him doing things. And, they're doing like I said before, these people change dramatically. They're trying to show us that with the fact that Matt has no luck right now. They want us to remember that Matt used to not be lucky. And they're going to want us to remember that, but look at him now, He's, they're making it so he has no luck yet. And we're gonna see what happens. I do believe that the doorway is going to be what gives him luck. I think that that's how he's going to get his luck.
And I agree with that, and I can't wait for that to happen. I do hope we have the twisted doorway. I hope we have I hope we have the fins. I hope we have crazy.
You know what else I also believe? I also believe that the Terrans and the Stone of Tyr, because of their law, I think they're going to play it like this. They're going to play the law that the reason why that you can't channel and they don't allow Aes Sedai and Tyr is because the Tyrian High Lords have been hiding the fact, and they're the only ones who are actually going to know that there's a crystal sword in there and the prophecy about it.
All right, so here's the thing. So, and I'll ask Allie and Kay here. Let me get my face out of here. So it's just puppet. Are we going to have is Kalendor going to exist? We did not hear any reference to it so far in two seasons.
And that is why I believe it's going to be a secret.
Are we going to have the calendar?
Like they said, calendar.
I do think we're going to get Stone of Tyr. I think that season 3, because of the plots that exist, and also because I think that it's going to be necessary. I think the 3 boys are going to get, just like Egwene was kind of the star of this season. Egwene, Moraine were kind of, and Rand to a different extent were the stars of this season. I think that Rand, Perrin, and Matt, for all the people who are like, when are they going to do stuff? I think they are leveling up. They leveled up this season, but I think they're getting major level ups next season, just based on like Rand potentially spending time with the Aiel, the whole Roydian thing, the Karak Karn stuff.
Well, we know that next season is going to be dealing with the Aiel and the Sea Folk. So that means they're going to be going from the Aerith Ocean down to the Sea of Storms, and they're going to make their way to Tyr. And I think that brings a lot of speculation of things that they can do with that. I don't think Perrin's going to be on any of those boats.
Perrin will be busy.
But I do think
if we have Kalendor, will it be from the Aiel instead of from in the Stone of Tyr?
No, I think it'll be in the Stone of Tyr. I also think that Tom Maryland is juggling on one of those Sea Folk vessels right now.
I could see that. I do think, my thought is, I do think we will get Tyr largely because we've already heard it mentioned. We've already had it mentioned with
many times.
Like they talk about Tyr. They've been hinting at Tyr and talking about Tyr a lot. I mean,
they showed it in the cold opening.
Yeah, every time Swan's tattoos are on screen, we're getting Tyr content. Right?
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
We are getting hints that Tyr in that cold open with Swan. I think we're seeing that Tyr is on the table.
Definitely.
So I think we will be seeing Tyr. And I think that also it's just an interesting arena to explore as well, because it's like a place that has outright banned magic.
Yes.
And I think that if you want to talk about putting your characters under pressure and in bad situations, having them go to somewhere that it is illegal to channel in, one, it deepens Swan's character because this is where she's from. Even if she's not on screen there, we get more of an understanding about Swan and who she is in exploring Tyran culture and why she is kind of the way she is. But I also think that, and just like we got a lot of Moraine's hometown without necessarily Moraine being there all the time. I think there's a possibility for that. But also, I think putting characters under pressure in a place that doesn't allow magic is definitely on the table. I think there's a potential for them to combine Tanchico and Tyr.
See, I think that they're not going to do that because of one big, huge thing. Tyr was such a big part of the books that I think from a production standpoint, because they used it in Teleron Riyadh so many times where girls met and everyone else met and so many other things, I think it's a perfect thing. Once they make that Stone of Tyr and set, they're going to use it over and over and over again. And I think they're going to be able to use it, and I think that's what they're going to do. Because I think that's going to be a solid point for where they can meet in Teleron Riyadh now with the girls and with the wise ones. They always start a lot. So many times they started. Something else they did that they're doing in this episode that I just noticed watching it again yesterday is, remember when Perrin went into Teleron Riyadh and saw all the windows and the mirrors? Matt did that this time.
Yep.
What
does that mean?
Can you do that again for me? I'm so sorry.
So something that we saw Ishmael draw Matt into Teleron Riyadh and show Matt the mirrors, the windows of things that he can see in the future or possible futures. So he made Matt see possible futures and made Matt think that they were real.
Right.
Right. So do we think, so Allie and Kay, do we think that this knife staff that he created, Matt created, this is this episode, right? Or is it the next one?
I think it is the next episode.
Oh, okay. All right. I guess we'll talk
about it a little.
Is that the Ashidari?
No, we can't talk about it?
Still ask.
You don't think we can talk about it, Jensen?
No, I said it's not.
No, it's definitely not. Yeah, no, it's definitely not. No, I think it's not. I think much
they
like
keep teasing us. They're teasing us. They're teasing us. And I'm telling you, I love the fact that they're teasing us because us being book readers, we need a little bit of entertainment too. We don't want to just see something that we know is going to happen. They want it to be a little entertaining for us as well. And they're giving homages to everything. And like that, it's just like when every time Perrin's fighting one with an axe, and it's a serious moment, and it's like, I love it. I mean, they're gonna do all that stuff. I actually think that Perrin's gonna start forging a real hammer when they go back next season.
Oh, Perrin's definitely getting hammer and axe next season. I do.
I can't wait for
blacksmithy. Is he gonna make it himself though?
I can see
a spoilers. Be careful.
Oh, okay.
Spoilers.
Never mind. Sorry, I won't ask that.
Yeah, sneaky question there, Kay.
Well, no, Kay is behind Allie, so whatever.
They're both behind us.
Yeah. So
you gotta remember that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just forget I asked that at all. Let's rewind. Whoosh.
Yeah.
No, there's no spoilers in your question because you're the person that.
But
I don't know what the.
Yeah.
Hey,
But
Jansen, read this comment.
A lot
This
of
is
their
for you.
journeys externalized. I think Say
that again?
Matt Luck stuff starts next season. I think Rand Karn stuff is big next season, and I think Perrin and his struggles with violence continue, and likely we finally get the hammer and the axe. I think potentially the Two Rivers is a good place to start to have those conversations.
So this episode was significantly darker in lighting than, and I guess we are in dungeons. We're in the mistreatment of Egwene to a certain degree. Is this? I guess. What do you guys think as people in this industry to have dark scenes like this?
I think that it helps. Lighting helps with or without it. Just like they say on the show, in the books. You can't have light without shadow, and they both work very well for cinematographers to use. And sometimes they use shadow to hide things. They used a shadow to make things look smaller or bigger. They use shadow to make things look more mysterious. Hitchcock started it a long time ago, and he was the master of it. So, I mean, it's shadows and lighting is huge. I mean, it's huge.
Hugely important, and I think there has been some chatter about scenes being too dark, and I talked to some production friends of mine about it a little bit, because that it's not my area of expertise, but right. I do try to kind of like, when people ask me things, try to find thoughts on it, because I obviously, something that's very important is to see things that are happening.
I found myself standing right in front of a large screen, and Ryan's like, "You're very close." I'm like, "Yeah, you're right." I'm like, my nose is almost pressing. It was dark, man.
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple of reasons for this. One is that like shooting things during the day and then recoloring them so they're nighttime scenes tends to not.
Yeah,
work.
That's not good.
It like you can always like there are so many signs that
so many
that's the case. So that becomes like a pain in the
squinting.
Oh, when the actors are in the darkness, you're like, oh my god, yeah. So there's its own logistical problems to like things happening in fake night shoots. But the other thing is that there is a pull toward things that look more and more natural, more and more naturalistic, especially in like fantasy shows where it's like we're trying to ground this in some level of reality so that we feel an attachment to the stakes and the emotions of what's going on. And you can also attribute that in addition to like cameras are getting better and better, like leaps and bounds constantly in like what we're able to capture on screen and like how well cameras are able to see things.
Even our iPhones alone today are amazing.
It's like better than the cameras we were using 20 years ago. On professional film sets are like we're walking around with them. So it's pretty crazy how fast this technology has changed.
But it's also a conscious choice then, right? To have it so dark.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And the thing about that is that while camera technology keeps advancing, people are only replacing their TVs so often. And so like what you're getting is this kind of contrast with like we've got really great technology on set and things that you can do and push the envelope with that you've never been able to do before, which is really cool.
But the technology we have at home doesn't capture it all.
Yeah, is not my parents' TV is not necessarily up to date, right? With the current like screen technologies that are out there. And so what we're getting is like this big divide between like some people who are like, I've got this kind of TV and so I can like see everything that's happening on the screen, and people who are like, I'm watching it on my computer with like the lights on and I can't see anything. And so
I can't see shit.
The difference in what screens we're using to watch and consume content are so drastically different that it's like we're finding that there's a hard time in trying to like prepare for every eventuality of like what people are watching on. So it's kind of interesting that it's like, I mean, there's this push towards a more naturalistic look when it comes to TV and film, and like people like that. But it's like, how far is too far? Like, and are we accidentally like cutting people off from being able to see things? When their screens might not be, the most up to date, or they might be watching on their laptop. I don't know why I have this hanger in my hand, but like,
no, good.
On our phone. And so,
Mommy Dearest is coming out.
So I think it's this funny, like, I mean, unfortunately, with every new advancement, right, there's a learning curve, and there's like, things have to catch up to it. And also we have to like allow for the fact that things are catching up. And so there's this real push and pull between wanting to be cutting edge and innovative and like stand out from this market, right? And do really cool, interesting things and be artistically fulfilled, while also trying to like make sure that we're waiting for things to catch up to the point that they're at. So it's this interesting back and forth. And unfortunately, you don't really always get to see how things are received until they're out.
Well, that brings up another...
The stuff
go ahead, sorry.
the stuff that they're going to be previewing it on, right, and watching it on, are going to be decently up to date. So,
Right.
There's a learning curve.
Someone screens it. It's on a 4K bitchin' screen. They're like, "Oh, it's awesome," and then someone
you're not going to have your executives watch it on a laptop.
Yeah.
Or if you just can't afford like the newest, latest, TV, which is a lot of people, and we're in like a recession of sorts, so it's definitely going to be there's going to be a gap in technology. You're right, but it also brings up this thing in my head. I don't know, a pondering, I suppose. Are all the stars then running to their plastic surgeons to get even more things done because the resolution is so good that you can see everything, every pore, every wrinkle? I mean, we've seen some crazy things, and I'm not trying to bring this conversation down a plastic surgery rabbit hole by any means, because we could definitely go there. But it's just, but it's definitely fascinating, it just makes me wonder, are they then doing more things? And I know there's this whole trend of getting your buccal fat removed, and that's just so weird to me. But
I have never had any plastic surgery.
Neither.
It's just
And
so
Jansen,
strange.
you don't look day over your age.
I mean, here's the thing, and Jansen, I feel like you need to weigh on this for sure. Well, and Jansen, you go first. You're the actor. You say first. What are your kind of feelings on the plastic surgery front?
Here's what I'm saying, okay?
Or do you feel any nervousness or stress from other actors? There's
no, dude. 15,000 years ago, there were dudes in Africa putting bones in their lips and shit like that to look pretty.
Yep. Yeah, but Vikings apparently put grooves in their teeth and dyed them, and the chips thought it was rad.
If you feel like you need to do something to yourself to make yourself feel better, go ahead. But you know what? Just like Moraine says, take what you want and pay for it. Because those duck lips today that you get, Donald Duck might not look that good in 5 years.
Well, that's the thing. I can't imagine these women that are getting their buccal fat. You know what the buccal fat is, right? You guys probably know this, in their cheeks, right? So they look all sunken in.
If they feel good about it, I think go for it.
It's like a surgical contouring. It's so strange. And I agree, to each their own, do what makes you happy. But my thought is, because of this resolution and technology and stuff, I'm just wondering if people are getting more anxious about those kinds of things. And I would imagine on some level that they would be, but that's the person that's going to be really concerned about that anyways. I don't think that this is going to bring that on. It would just maybe exacerbate it.
No, my worst concerns about plastic surgery are that children who are too young to understand what they're seeing think that that's how they should look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the only thing that I would, because like I said, each his own. You do what you want. I have no, that's your face and your body. But when it comes to other people, like children, and that comes to the parents, you got to be able to, talk to your kids and make sure that they know that they don't have to look that way. That's not what, so that's my only concern.
I think there's a lot of pressure. There's certainly a lot of pressure in Hollywood. I mean, I'm a writer, so no one gives a shit what I look like. But I think I basically have to show up, in a decently nice outfit, and things are fine. No one cares. But I feel there's certainly pressure, especially for young women in Hollywood, to look a certain way and to conform to whatever standard of beauty is out there right now and trendy. But you have to remember that appearances are as horrible as it is. I don't believe that appearance should be a trend. I think that we should just love the bodies we have and love the faces we have. And if that is something that you are doing for you, do it for you. We're so happy for you. But I think that we're seeing kind of the other side of that, where it's like now we are getting a lot of faces, right, that look very modern. And those actors are limiting themselves in terms of the roles that they're going to get cast in, because they're not going to be in a Jane Austen movie.
No.
Right.
They're not going to be in a period piece because they
Guys,
can't.
it's I'm so sorry. It's 6 o'clock, and I
thank you, Jen.
I just have another. I have another thing, right? Like in 2 minutes.
I guess let's wrap this up. We'll say bye to you, and we'll say
I love you all.
Week.
Bye, Jan.
I love you all.
So good to see you.
You too.
I don't know how much we talked about the episode.